Sonia didn't scream. She stood frozen in the doorway of the bathroom, her fingers clamped tightly around the bag of groceries she'd brought over. The tiles were slick with steam. Her boyfriend Divine, pale and shirtless, sat slouched on a small stool under the shower spray, and behind him, crouched and bathing him like a child, was an older woman. Naked. Their eyes met first. The woman didn't flinch. Her hands continued rubbing soap slowly over his back, sliding down toward his waist like it was the most natural thing in the world. Sonia stumbled backward. What the hell is this? Her voice cracked like glass. Divine looked up at her, his face riddled with confusion and shame. Wait, Sonia. It's not what, just wait. But she was already halfway to the door. Minutes later, the kitchen was a mess of raised voices and half-spoken explanations. Divine had thrown on a towel and chased her down. Sonia paced like a wounded animal, her heart thudding in her ears. She was naked. Naked, Divine. Bathing you. Who is that woman? He swallowed, clearly unwell. His skin looked colorless, and his legs trembled as he stood. She's my mom. Sonia blinked. Your mother? He nodded, almost ashamed. Her name's Helen. I didn't want you to find out like this. Sonia stared at him, still processing. You mean to tell me that was your mother touching you like that? Please don't go. Just give me time. I'll explain everything. From the hallway, a shadow moved, Mrs. Helen, now clothed, silently watching them with unreadable eyes. And in that moment, Sonia felt it. A chill that had nothing to do with the rain outside. Something about that woman wasn't right. Sonia couldn't sleep that night. She tossed in bed, eyes open in the dark, her thoughts spiraling. The image of that woman, Mrs. Helen, scrubbing her grown son's back in the shower, naked and unbothered, kept flashing behind her eyelids like a cursed photograph. There was no maternal softness in that moment, no warmth, just a strange intimacy that churned Sonia's stomach. And the way Helen had watched her afterward, blank, emotionless, almost proud, like she'd marked territory. The next morning, Sonia texted Divine, still thinking about everything. We need to talk. I'm not okay. He replied, not even a minute later. I understand. Please come by later. She won't be home. I'll explain everything. When Sonia arrived, Helen wasn't gone. In fact, she was very much present, perched on the sofa like royalty, sipping tea. She didn't say a word, just watched as Sonia walked in. Divine stood nearby, a bit more alert today, but still visibly unwell. His limbs moved like they were dragging weights. She's early, Helen finally said, not looking at Sonia. I said we needed privacy, Divine said gently, avoiding his mother's gaze. Helen stood slowly, walked past Sonia, and whispered low enough for only her to hear. Some wounds need silence to heal. You bring noise. Sonia clenched her jaw. As Helen left the room, Divine motioned for her to sit. I know this all seems crazy, he said, his voice hoarse, but she's all I've got. I thought I was part of that too, Sonia snapped. Why won't she let me help you? Why is she the only one touching you, feeding you, giving you your medication? You're not a child, Divine. He sighed, rubbing his temples. She's just very protective. When I got sick, she dropped everything, brought me here, said she'd seen this before, with my dad, that it was genetic. You don't find any of this odd? Sonia asked. She bathes you. She sleeps in your room. She doesn't. Sonia stared at him. Are you sure? He looked away. In that silence, something broke inside her. Something about him was fading. He was thinner than last time. His words were slower, his eyes cloudier. She'd seen enough hospital wards to know the look of someone who was being managed, not healed. And Helen. Helen wasn't a mother caring for her sick son. She was a queen guarding a throne. And Divine was the prisoner. The next few days blurred into a strange rhythm. Divine grew weaker. Not drastically, just enough to be noticeable. He moved slower, spoke less, slept more. Sonia noticed how he'd drift off mid-conversation, like the weight of his body had become too much to carry. Every time she came around, she brought food, vitamins, even ginger tea from her grandmother's old recipe. But each time she arrived, Helen was already one step ahead. Divine had eaten. Divine had taken his meds. Divine was resting. Divine was not to be disturbed. Sonia felt herself being pushed further and further out, like a guest in a place where she once belonged. She couldn't ignore the things she saw anymore. The pills, unlabeled, neatly arranged in a small ceramic bowl on the dining table. The doctor, always unreachable. The house, always smelling faintly of antiseptic and something floral, unfamiliar, sterile. And then there was Helen. Sonia began to notice how she looked at Divine, not with concern, but with possession. Her hand would linger just a little too long on his shoulder. She adjusted his shirt collar even when it wasn't necessary. She combed his hair with slow strokes while humming softly, a lullaby. Not a mother's hum. Something more intimate. Too intimate. One afternoon, Sonia found Helen in Divine's bedroom, sitting on the edge of his bed. He was asleep, and she was gently wiping his lips with a damp cloth. Her fingers moved with devotion, not urgency, not fear. Sonia froze in the doorway. Helen didn't look up. "You shouldn't be here so often," she said calmly. "He needs stability. He needs the people who love him." Sonia replied coldly. "I am the one who loves him," Helen said, still not turning. "The only one who's never left." Sonia stepped back, her heart pounding in her ears. She didn't know what disturbed her more, the words, or the way Divine stirred in his sleep and reached toward Helen's hand like a child seeking warmth. She realized then, this wasn't just about illness. Something else had grown in that house. A quiet madness wearing the face of love. And Divine, vulnerable, sedated, confused, was being wrapped tighter into it. Sonia had only one thought as she left that day. If she didn't pull him out now, she might lose him forever. Sonia paced in front of her friend's apartment building, her thoughts spiraling with every step. She hadn't heard from Divine in over a week. Helen no longer allowed her inside the house. And Divine's phone, it went straight to voicemail. Every single time. She had reached a breaking point. Something was deeply wrong. Then, as fate would have it, the truth found her. Her friend Miriam had invited her to a talent audition for a new Nollywood medical series. It was just a way to distract herself, she told Miriam. But the moment she walked into the venue, Sonia nearly dropped her phone. There he was, the doctor. The same man who had once told her Divine's illness was hereditary. The one who prescribed meds. The one who reassured her that Helen had everything under control. He was dressed in scrubs again, this time reading from a script. Sonia approached him slowly. He looked up, recognized her, and froze. "You're not a doctor," she said, her voice low and dangerous. He stammered. I'm just an actor. They paid me to play a role. Said it was for a family video project." "Who paid you?" she demanded. He didn't answer. But he didn't have to. Sonia stormed out, heart racing. The weight of everything came crashing in. The unlabeled pills, Divine's drowsiness, Helen's hostility, the coldness in that house. It was all part of a carefully orchestrated prison. She couldn't wait any longer. That night, Sonia slipped into Helen's home through the back entrance. She knew the maid's routine and timed it perfectly. Divine was asleep in his room, the tray of pills nearby. Helen was gone, perhaps at her evening prayers, perhaps watching over another room. Sonia crept in, took a handful of pills, and slipped out as quickly as she'd come. The next morning, she placed the pills in Miriam's hand. Miriam worked in diagnostics at a private hospital lab. Hours later, she called Sonia back, her voice shaking. "Those pills, they're sedatives and fertility suppressants. There's no treatment in them, Sonia. She's not healing him. She's weakening him." Sonia went silent. She had suspected control, even manipulation. But this was possession. And Helen wasn't just guarding her son. She was preserving him, exactly as she wanted him, childlike, dependent, infertile hers. Sonia didn't sleep that night. The results of the lab test sat in her inbox like a loaded gun. Sedatives, fertility suppressants. Not a single trace of anything remotely related to immune support or treatment. It all made sense now. The fatigue, the fogginess in Divine's eyes, the weakness in his limbs. Helen hadn't been healing her son. She had been holding him hostage, from the inside out. By morning, Sonia was pacing like a caged animal in Miriam's flat. Her friend sat at the edge of the couch, quiet, cautious. "You need to report her," she finally said. "This is medical abuse." But Sonia shook her head. "If I go to the police now, they'll demand records. And Helen's too smart. She has no real documentation. She uses fake doctors, unlabeled meds. Everything's been wiped clean. There's no trail but Divine. And Divine won't believe me, not yet." Miriam sighed. "So what's your plan?" Sonia's eyes narrowed. "I'm going back in." Later that day, dressed like a delivery girl and armed with a recording device sewn into her top, Sonia returned to Helen's house. She waited until the maid answered the door, holding up a food flask and pretending to confirm an order. Helen wasn't in the living room, but Sonia could hear soft humming from the hallway. The same lullaby. That same chilling hum. Divine's door was cracked open. She slipped inside quickly, kneeling beside him. He was awake, barely. "Sonny," he whispered. "You came." His voice was dry, lips chapped. His hands trembled as he reached for hers. "I know everything," she whispered, "and I'm going to get you out. But I need your help." His eyes blinked slowly, clouded, distant. "She said you left me." She lied. Just then, the floor creaked behind her. Sonia turned, and there stood Helen. She wasn't smiling. She wasn't shouting. She simply stood in the doorway, arms crossed, eyes burning with quiet rage. "You just can't stay away, can you?" she said softly. Sonia rose slowly. "You're drugging him. You're keeping him. Like he's yours to own." Helen stepped into the room, calm as ever. "He is mine. He always has been. You girls, you come and go. But mothers, we remain." The recording device caught every word. Sonia didn't blink. Soon, this house of control would come crashing down. But not with fire. Not with fists. With truth. The audio recording was enough. Miriam helped Sonia send it to a lawyer she knew, a family rights specialist. Within hours, things moved fast. Faster than Sonia had expected. The voice of Helen, calm and composed, admitting her control, her refusal to let go, her possessiveness. It was chilling. More than that, it was evidence. The lawyer arranged for a formal wellness check with hospital-backed support. But Sonia knew that wouldn't be enough. Helen had the house locked tighter than a prison, and Divine was too drugged to advocate for himself. So, Sonia planned one last entry. She arrived at the house late in the evening, this time with backup, a legal observer, a plainclothes nurse, and the lawyer herself. They rang the bell. Helen opened the door slowly. She was dressed in a flowing silk robe, her expression blank. Her eyes flickered as she saw Sonia at the front, flanked by strangers. "I told you," she said in a low, dangerous voice, "not to come back." The lawyer stepped forward. "Mrs. Helen, we're here for a wellness intervention. You are legally required to allow us access to Divine." Helen's hand gripped the doorframe. "He's not ready. He's resting." Sonia pushed forward. "He's dying." They moved past her. Inside, the house was quieter than ever. The faint floral antiseptic scent hung in the air. Divine's door was unlocked. He lay there, half-conscious, his body thinner, eyes barely focusing. The nurse rushed in. "He's been heavily sedated. This isn't therapeutic. It's chemical restraint," she said flatly. Helen stood in the doorway, her arms trembling now. "He belongs here. With me. You can't just take him." Sonia turned slowly, eyes locked on her. "You never wanted a son. You wanted a second chance at a man who left you." That struck. Helen's mask cracked. He was his father. In every way. The walk, the laugh, the smell. But he stayed. I made sure of it. He was mine to keep this time. The nurse placed a blanket over Divine. The lawyer dialed the authorities. Helen backed against the wall, murmuring, "He loved me back, you know. He said he needed me." Sonia didn't respond. For once, she let the silence speak for itself. As flashing lights from a distant ambulance lit the hallway, the house that had once hidden a twisted love began to crumble, not with noise, but with truth finally breaking through the walls. The sirens were nearing. Red and blue lights flashed through the curtains as the ambulance parked outside. Sonia stayed by Divine's side as the nurse prepared him for transport. The lawyer coordinated with paramedics at the door, speaking in firm, urgent tones. The nightmare was almost over. Then, a sharp metallic click. Everyone froze. Sonia turned slowly. Helen stood near the hallway, her silk robe billowing slightly, her arm outstretched, and in her hand was a gun. The same mother who once hummed lullabies now held death with trembling fingers. "Don't take him," she said, her voice thin and breaking. "You have no right. None of you do." The lawyer took a cautious step forward. "Mrs. Helen, please. This doesn't have to end this way." "I gave him everything," Helen cried. "I nursed him, fed him, kept him alive. You think you can just walk in here and steal him?" She shifted the barrel towards Sonia. Sonia's breath caught in her throat. "Leave," Helen whispered. "All of you. Or I'll pull it. I swear to God I'll pull it." "Sonia, get down," the nurse shouted, already ducking. But before anyone could move, Divine, barely conscious, pushed himself up. "No," he croaked, staggering to his feet. His legs gave out, but he lunged. Just as Helen's finger tightened on the trigger. Bang! The sound tore through the room like thunder. Sonia screamed. Helen gasped. Divine collapsed to the floor, blood blooming across his side. Everything stopped. The gun slipped from Helen's hand, clattering uselessly to the floor. She dropped to her knees beside him, sobbing. "No, no, no. My baby. I didn't mean to, I didn't." Sonia pulled Helen away as the officers burst in. She didn't resist. She didn't even look up. Her hands were stained red, her cries animalistic. She kept whispering one thing, over and over. "He chose me. He chose me." But it didn't matter anymore, because Divine chose someone else. He chose freedom. It had been 4 weeks. 4 weeks since the bullet. 4 weeks since the house of delusion fell. Divine survived, barely. The nurse had said he was lucky. "Not just from a gunshot," she told him one afternoon, adjusting his 4-drip. "The sedatives in your system were building up. Another week, and your heart might have stopped in your sleep. You didn't just dodge a bullet, you escaped slow poison." He blinked slowly. The world still felt fogged, but the mist was lifting, one truth at a time. A few days later, Sonia came to visit. She brought fresh fruit and his favorite suya spice chips. He smiled weakly. It was the first genuine smile in months. She sat beside him, and for a while, they said nothing. Finally, he asked, "Have they told you anything? About her?" Sonia looked down. "She's in police custody. They're keeping her under psychiatric evaluation. She hasn't said a word since they took her." Divine closed his eyes. "She really believed I was him." "I know," Sonia said gently. "But she was wrong. You're not him. You're you." He didn't reply, but something in his jaw unclenched. That night, Divine stirred in his sleep. The room was quiet, too quiet. He rolled over, and there she was, Helen, sitting at the edge of the hospital bed, just like before, her silk robe flowing, her hand gently combing his hair. "Hush now," she whispered. "Don't fight me. You need rest." He jerked up, gasping, sweating. His heart thundered. A nurse rushed in, startled. "You're safe," she assured him. "You're hallucinating. It's just trauma. You're safe." He nodded slowly, but his eyes stayed locked on the corner chair in the room, empty now. Meanwhile, across the city, Sonia sat on her couch, curled up with tea, flipping through channels, numb from the long day. Then the news bulletin broke. Breaking: woman escapes custody from Lagos psychiatric facility after attacking an officer. Police confirm escapee is Helen Okoye, 43, awaiting trial on charges including attempted murder and medical abuse. The mug slipped from Sonia's hands. It shattered on the floor. Her breath caught. Because some chains don't break. They just hide in the dark, waiting. Fade to black. Thank you for watching. If you're not following us, you might never find us again. Subscribe now and tell us what shocked you most in the comments.